Thank you for a really generous introduction. Glad to see you all. So I once met an art historian who was, a person of middle age, gray hair, what have you, who spent his whole life studying the Taj Mahal and had never seen it. And was about to go, he'd done his dissertation on it, he'd written books, he'd been studying it for all his life, decades, had never been there. And he was about to go on the first trip where he was going to go and get to see it. And I'm feeling a little bit like that when it comes to comprehensive immigration reform. I'm pinching myself. I can't quite believe it. It's a little bit too good to be true, but I think it is really possible that we are going to get to passage of comprehensive immigration reform sometime this winter. And I feel a little bit like that scholar, pinching myself, can this really be true? I want to make 5 points about that, talking about both policy and politics. Start with the basic point. So I come from as I think you see, we have center-right and center-left here, right? I'm center-right. I work with the business world. I worked closely with the Republican reformers the last time around. So I'm here to talk about that side of the equation, the center-right side of the equation. So the first point I want to make is that contrary to what would seem obvious on the face of it, with a strong, one of the most popular Democratic presidents in memory, overwhelming majorities in both houses of Congress, Republicans in arguably complete disarray, this bill is still going to need to be a bipartisan bill. This bill is still going to take Republican support. Why do I say that? Well, the president is obviously strongly for it. There are large Democratic majorities in both houses, but there are also centrist, moderate, conservative Democrats who are afraid of this, both in the Senate, people who come from districts where there are independent voters or where it's a close call, freshmen in particular in the House, all of those freshmen who come from, and Democrats in general, who come from districts where McCain won or before him Bush won, people like that will not want to vote for this, and leadership will want to give them a pass. As much as the Democratic leadership is into passing this bill, they're not going to put freshmen's offices, re-election on the line to insist that they vote for this. So there will be significant blocks in both houses that are not going to vote for reform, and Republicans will need to both fill those gaps and make it safe for some of those centrist Ds. So, I'm predicting something like, and these numbers are, don't hold me to them, but I think we're going to need 8 to 10 Republicans in the Senate, and we're going to need, maybe as many as 35, 40 Republicans in the House. I mean, we could need serious numbers here. In both houses, there's a new enthusiasm. In both parties, there's a new enthusiasm for comprehensive immigration reform, but it's by no means certain, even amongst Democrats, and obviously still going to be very hard among Republicans. So, challenge ahead. Something to be, for those of us thinking about policy and about presentation, to be very mindful, and something for you all to be watching as it unfolds. Point 2 goes with that, right? This is going to need to be a balanced bill. This is not just a bill about civil rights. This is not just a bill about Latino families. This has to be a bill about what's good for America, employers, employees, Americans, and immigrants. We've had a lot of practice in the past and a lot of experience in trying to come to the center and craft a balanced bill. That was what McCain, Kennedy was all about, right? Leading Democrat, I used to joke that the support went all the way from President Kennedy to Senator Bush, all the way from the Bush White House to one of the most liberal, progressive senators on Capitol Hill. And that was because of the hard work that went into coming up with a balanced approach. So what were the 3 elements of that balanced approach? Tougher enforcement. Let's be serious. We can't go on with a situation that we've had for however many decades where the law is really a joke or a matter of hypocrisy. The public is sick of that. We have to have serious enforcement. There has to be, that's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2, there has to be some kind of serious answer, workable, humane, and consistent with our American political principles answer for the 12 million unauthorized immigrants already here. And pillar number 3, there has to be a way for the workers who we're going to need in the future to come here legally. Because that's the essence of the problem, right? That's why we have 12 million lawful immigrants already here, because there wasn't a way for the workers we needed to come legally. Supply and demand generates a flow of about 1.5 million immigrants every year, high-tech, low-tech. We give out about 1 million visas. It's that gap between our supply and demand needs and the visas that has created the unauthorized population and has made it hard to enforce the law. So, that's changed a little bit right now in the middle of the recession, but when the economy picks up again, we're going to need those workers again. Americans are going to, even now, unemployed auto workers in Detroit are not necessarily going to pick apples, in Washington State, but certainly when the economy picks up again, Americans are going to want their middle-class jobs back. They're not going to want to go out and being busboys and picking fruit and doing roofing in the hot sun. So 3 elements. Enforcement, legalization, and a pipeline for workers going to be as important when the economy picks up again as it was in the past. And the question is, can we maintain all of those 3 elements in this difficult economic climate and in this somewhat imbalanced political climate, right? Will Republicans stand up and say, we need to have that 3rd pillar in the bill? We need those workers for the future. McCain did it in the White House a few weeks ago, but will McCain continue to do it? Will other Republicans do it? Can we persuade the public of that in a time when American unemployment is edging toward 10%? Difficult to make the case that we need workers in the future and we need to create a pipeline for them. That even though now no one is using that bridge over the highway, we still have to repair it so that the road system works in the future. Point number 3, so we're talking about difficulties, right? Difficulty in Congress getting Republican support, difficulty in getting a balanced bill, but people working on it. Point number 3, one of the very encouraging things we're seeing is this time that's different from in the past, in 06 and 07, we're seeing a lot more activity organizing, both on the center left and the center right. Ali is going to tell you a lot about what's going on the center left. Where my experience is, what I'm trying to do is organization on the center right. And it was sort of famous last time, or it was infamous, or it was a source of much hand-wringing and hair-tearing for all of us, that business didn't play aggressively. That business and employers who hire immigrants are some of the people with the biggest stake in the solution. And remember, if we're going to need 10 senators and 30, 40 Republicans in the House, who's going to persuade them? Well, not Latino voters, most likely. Most likely people they're going to listen to are voters on the center right, including very heavily employers, people who create jobs in their district, people who know what it takes to sustain the economy in their district, people who meet payrolls in their district, people who can talk about, well, if I have to fire my immigrant workers and then I go out of business, Americans are going to lose their jobs. That's who centrist and center-right lawmakers need to hear from. So we've been working very hard to organize employers who hire immigrants. And the cliche, the stereotype about employers who hire immigrants is that they'd really rather be paying them $3 an hour and preventing them from having bathroom breaks. That's not actually true. According to Social Security records, about 75% of the employers who hire immigrants actually put them through the process and pay them the going rate for American workers and want to be on the right side of the law. And so, who has more of a stake in having the rule of law in the workplace than somebody who's investing their family savings in a business or who's got their business reputation at stake. So we've been organizing employers to get into this battle. My organization has employer coalitions in 25 states. Every sector that hires immigrant workers, from the agriculture to the construction to the hospitality, including in some states to the high tech. They've been working, socializing the message in their state, speaking out at town halls, going to Rotary clubs, writing op-ed pieces, organizing others to write those famous emails and faxes to their members of Congress saying, get it done. And this week, you're going to, it's just happening today, so you're the first people who heard about it out of an inner circle. But here in D.C., we've organized, and we meaning more broadly, a group of business coalitions who've never before come together to say that they're for comprehensive immigration reform. And so what I mean by that is traditionally in the past, high-tech, agriculture, hospitality sectors all fought separately. Everybody thought, I can get my little piece of reform more effectively if I fight by myself. Those lawmakers will understand the need for high tech. Those lawmakers will understand the need for agricultural workers. I don't want to throw my lot in with other employers. Well, this year, for the first time, employers across sectors are realizing that if we come together, we can be stronger. And we're just, all of those coalitions from all of those sectors have just signed a letter to leadership in Congress saying, get this done, and don't forget that matter of the workers we're going to need in the future. Pass a balanced bill. So last of my 5 points, I just want to go through a couple of reasons why I think this year is going to be different than our failed attempts in the past, right? I'm a veteran of those failed attempts. I got scars all over to prove it. I think we're going to benefit, number one, from being in something from the post-racial environment we all hope we're in. We know we're not really totally in a post-racial environment, but we're aspiring to a post-racial environment with a new energy that I don't think any of us have seen in America, in many decades. I think this will be part of that post-racial environment. You saw the numbers about public support, but I think if this is presented in the right way, in a kind of obvious and not so obvious way, it will feed into that in a big way. We didn't have that 2 and 3 years ago. Americans, as second factor, as Simon pointed out, Americans really see this as one of the problems that government has to fix. One of those things that have been broken for years and the do-nothing Congress has quibbled about rather than solved. Well, they want to see government solving things now. That's Obama's headline promise. This falls under that, and I think people are going to be supportive of it for that reason. Third factor, I think Senator Schumer, who is going to be one of the main lawmakers leading the charge here, really does understand how balanced a bill it needs to be. We don't yet have the McCain-Kennedy duo that we had last time, who are going to be all the champions. We're not sure. But Schumer is a tough, able lawmaker who understands that he's going to have to break heads on both sides of the issues to get to a balanced bill, including making the unauthorized immigrants who are already here jump through some pretty tough hoops and to show the public, well, we recognize that there have been some laws broken. So I think we're going to see a tough but fair balanced bill, and I think that's going to be a key factor. Maybe I'll stop there. I think what Schumer understands is that everybody on all sides of this, and it is going to take, this is really my point, it's going to take bringing business and labor together, Latinos and heartland Americans, both coasts, both parties, faith. This is going to be a thing where a lot of people are going to have to come to the table and go away. Probably no one's going to go away totally satisfied. Here I am dreaming of the town hall. We're probably of the Taj Mahal. We're probably all going to go away a little bit unhappy. But the question is, will there be enough in the bill to keep everyone to stick to it and vote for it? And I think if anyone can pull that off, that is going to be a tough call. But I think if anyone can pull that off, it is going to be Senator Schumer. And so, I'm looking forward to an exciting fall, and I hope victory this winter.